Hello and welcome to Ask Jessikneeland. This week's question is from Anonymous. She writes, I admire how you seem to embrace your full experience, even the not so good parts. I want to do that too, but I'm just so hard on myself. I'm especially critical when I'm unproductive, like when I don't get anything done or I just want to nap and veg out sometimes. How do you convince yourself that it's okay to be lazy or unproductive or to embrace those other harder to love parts of yourself? Great question. The first thing I'm going to say is to start questioning the programming that's in your head, that's in all of our heads, about why some things are good and why some things are bad. Because realistically, is being tired bad? No, not objectively. It's bad if you want to be energized and you think you should be energized, then it can start to become bad. But that's programming that you've just been fed, that like you should always be energized and perfect and peppy and happy and everything should be amazing. So if that's the programming that's in your head, like if that's the measuring stick you're holding against, you're holding yourself against, then you're failing already. So I would start by addressing the programming or the measuring stick that you're using to decide if you failed or succeeded or what's good or bad. Because objectively being tired is not a bad thing. In fact, being tired is a sign that you need to rest, which is a really good thing. So just start paying attention to where that programming is messing you up and where that measuring stick is making you feel like a failure where you're not. The next thing I would say about that is to start questioning the programming of why criticizing yourself is supposedly such a good thing. This is especially common among women, but I think it really is something that we all do. We all grow up being taught to do. That like, in order to get motivated to change ourselves, we need to criticize ourselves. The problem with this is that it doesn't work. It's been proven that empathy and compassion are way better motivators than criticism and judgment, but we still hold on to this. We think of like, if I bash myself enough, eventually I'm going to want to change, right? Like, oh, you're so fat, you're so gross, you have to go to the gym. But in fact, if you're like, hey, I am beautiful just the way I am, you're a lot more likely to go to the gym because you feel worthy of taking good care of your body. And the other thing is, if you criticize yourself all the time, then you also know that when you fail at something, you're going to be really critical, which is kind of like holding a threat over your own head, Like, don't mess up because you'll get punished by yourself. Only the thing that you're going to mess up is just like taking risks of being a normal, happy person. So if the thing you're going to mess up is productivity perfection, then you're never going to allow yourself to really relax, take your time, rest, take good care of yourself. So that in those cases, the criticism starts to like push you way past the point of motivation and into a stuck feeling of like, oh, I just have to keep going. And ultimately, you're going to be less productive that way, because you need to rest and be mentally clear and fulfilled and energized in order to actually be as productive as you want to be in the first place. So just start questioning also where that pattern comes from for you, why you criticize as a means to motivate. If you do, not everybody does, I guess. But that's something that I see a lot in this conversation. And then the last thing is, so once you've validated for yourself that you're allowed to be tired, you're allowed to be sluggish, you're allowed to be foggy sometimes, like being aware of all the reasons that that's okay is going to come from questioning the good and the bad programming and questioning the criticism programming. Because there are so many reasons why you might be tired. Maybe you're iron deficient. Maybe you are, at the part of your cycle right before your period and you need to rest more. Maybe you're pregnant. Maybe, you're sleep deprived. Maybe you're whatever. There's so many reasons and all of them are normal and all of them are okay. So just start paying attention to what's going on with you and validate the experience of feeling foggy and unproductive and allowing it, giving yourself permission to be all of those things because they're all okay. And once you take them off the spectrum of good and bad, it's going to be a lot easier to validate and treat yourself with compassion when you feel all the ways that you currently think are bad or less good, less valuable. Because they're not. They're just as valuable. It's a mindset thing. So the last thing I would say is to add them to your to-do list. This is the simplest trick that I know of. I do it for everything. If I'm like really confused, I'm like feeling really lost. Oh God, what do I want to do? I can't decide. I'm like keep, trying to get stuff done and then nothing gets done. And, you just have those days, a couple days in a row. At that point, I start looking at myself and going, wow, what's going on with me that I need I keep feeling like I need to push past the clear messages my body is giving me. And so at that point, I might sit and write "be confused" on my to-do list. Same if I'm feeling sad or angry and those things are getting in the way of my life. And I'm like, oh, I keep trying to be happy. I want to go to this party, but I'm just so sad. Well, then I'm going to put "be sad" on my to-do list, and I'll keep putting it there until I don't need it anymore. This is one of my favorite tricks. I got it from my mom when I was going through a breakup. And I was like, I don't even know what to do. And she was like, it sounds like you need to put "be sad" on your to-do list. And I have ever since. So this can apply to anything. It can be unproductive. Put that on your list so that you can cross it out at the end. Write "binge on Netflix" if that's what you need to write, Right? Like Saturday morning from 9 to 1, couch potato. Like put it in there so that you're validating for yourself that that is a worthy use of your time. That you are okay, you are allowed to be unproductive for whole blocks of time, and that you respect yourself enough to actually schedule them in. I have clients who I'll also often suggest scheduling unproductive time into their day, because so often we get caught up in like, gotta go, 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 go. And so meditation might be an example of unproductive time. It's just time where you're not doing. But if you don't want to meditate, you can just sit and daydream. You can nap. You can doodle. You can do whatever you want as long as it's not productive. And if you schedule that into your life, it's going to be a lot easier for you to validate the experience that you're having of unproductive. Because the truth is that being unproductive is not bad. But being mad at yourself for being unproductive is bad. I mean, not bad in, like the epic sense of good and evil here, but it doesn't serve you. Being unproductive can actually serve you, but judging yourself for it won't. So allow yourself that time, validate the experience for yourself, come at it with compassion and figure out what you need in order to feel your absolute best about every experience that you have. So whatever you're writing off as negative, find a way to treat it with compassion and then put it on your to-do list. And I'm not even kidding, right? Have a meltdown, put that on your list. Write whatever you need to write in order to validate it for yourself so that you look at your list of stuff and being a human isn't getting in the way of your life. That's what it comes down to, because that's your life. And anything that you approach like it's an obstacle to your life, when in fact it's the most basic part of you, that's going to create a huge, nasty divide where you feel like it's you versus you, and it's such a struggle and a fight. And everything is really lovely when you just accept it and embrace it and validate it. So that is my answer. I hope that is helpful. Anonymous.